Welcome to Advantage Leadership Coaching Stress and Time Management Training. Fire 'em up without burning out. This is the abbreviated version of the full-length presentation that can be provided at your organization or as a part of individual or group coaching, the length of which is customizable to your needs. I'm Barbara Jordan, and I am a women's leadership coach and executive recovery coach. COVID-19 is a global pandemic. It's unsettling to say the least, especially for the many people who've never before experienced such a major crisis. The amount of change it has introduced us to all at once is staggering. Bans or limits on travel, live events, and in-person gatherings, serving clients via text, email, phone, or video chat, whereas we were accustomed to serving them up close, live, and in person. Having to wear masks, maintain 6 feet of physical distance, and cancel regular on-site meetings to avoid the spread of illness. Tighter air travel, travel safety guidelines, having to cancel travel altogether. Strict hotel safety guidelines, telework disruptions like poor internet connection, distractions at home, lack of familiarity with navigating virtual tools, and other technical difficulties, social isolation, and lack of networking opportunities, altering our mode of communication or learning by having to do on-demand webinars, online articles, videos, and podcasts. Would you agree that stress is at an all-time high right now? Would you like to learn how to manage some of that stress? Would you like to balance your work, personal, and family obligations? Would you like to delegate effectively and set limits so you can maintain your composure? Well, if you've answered yes to any of those questions, you've come to the right place. I'm going to teach you the concepts that have allowed me to literally transform my life. I'd like to thank you for taking the time for coming here and disrupting your schedule. I'd also like to thank you for taking the risk of looking at your stress level and your work and time management habits. It takes a lot of courage to admit what you need to change. I'm going to honor that commitment by making sure your time here today is spent wisely. How does that sound? Realizing that not everything I teach will work for all of you, are you willing to try these principles and use whatever works for you? After all, 80% of success is just showing up. Hey, you're already over 2/3 of the way there. But now you'll have to try the principles and use them and practice them. But whatever doesn't work, just throw away. As long as you're spending your precious time here today, how many of you would like to learn faster? And would you like to remember more of what you learned today? Research shows that the key to that is participation and involvement. Yes, thank you. By the way, do you notice I ask a lot of questions? Why do you suppose I do that, ask a lot of questions? Because questions get you involved. Let me ask you this. Are you in business of any sort? Do you have employees? Do you have clients? So what do you do if you want them to listen? Ask questions. Yes, thank you. You may also notice that I leave the last word off the end of a sentence and your mind fills in the what? Blank. Yes, thank you. You are good. I may also ask you to repeat things. Now, why would I ask you to repeat things? For involvement, so you learn faster and remember more of what you learn. Yes. Besides, if I say something, it means one thing. But if you say it, it means everything. Do you have very little time for yourself? Are you too preoccupied, busy with work to enjoy your family when you're with them? Well, this presentation will help you so that the answers to those questions one day will be no. Each of my programs and in my coaching practice, I begin with the process of manifestation, helping you understand that. Because all the time and stress management skills and knowledge in the world won't make a difference if you have these beliefs. Do you believe your thoughts and beliefs are a major predictor of your success? You better believe it. The process of manifestation seen in this slide starts with the T. T stands for thoughts, F stands for feelings, A stands for actions, and the R represents results. So thoughts lead to what? Feelings, yes. And feelings lead to what? Actions. And actions lead to results. For example, your parents, before you were born, they had thoughts. Some of them impure. And those thoughts led to feelings. And guess what? Those feelings led to actions. And hence you as the result. But wait a minute. Where do our thoughts come from? Our conditioning is where they came from, what we heard, saw, and experienced growing up. For example, did adults in your life say, stress is bad, avoid it if you can, it's too difficult, you can't do it, if you can't handle the stress, get out of the fast lane? Or did they say, stress motivates us to change, you can handle it, you can do it? Did they role model positive, healthy limit setting and work-life balance? Or unhealthy, unreasonable expectations? Did stress break people down or build them up? You see on the slide a fruit tree. In my presentations and in coaching practice, I represent the process of manifestation further with the illustration of a fruit tree. I call it the tree of life because the seeds and the roots represent your thoughts and beliefs, attitudes, assumptions, and conclusions. The fruits, on the other hand, represent your end results. And in between is the trunk, which represents your feelings and actions. So what creates the fruit on the fruit tree? The seeds and the roots. It's not what's above the surface, what's above the ground, your actions that create success. It's not just that, it's also what's below the surface, your thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, assumptions, and conclusions. The invisible creates the visible, right? Many people don't understand that the physical material world is just a projection of what's in here. Remember, if you want to be successful, you have to look at your inner world, and we're doing that right now. Most people don't reach their potential because they go through life only available or aware of what they see, their behaviors, results, and experiences. They only scratch the surface and blame external factors. If you want to work smarter and not harder, though, and still achieve success, you have to have the right mindset. You have to look at your inner world. You have to start by removing self-limiting, self-defeating, non-supportive thoughts and beliefs. Install then some supportive, empowering mindsets of successful leaders instead. Focus on the conditioning that leads to the best conditions in your life, and this will have a dramatic effect on your success. What most people don't realize is that the physical material world is simply a projection of your mental, emotional, and spiritual world, and those conditioning processes. Your wealth is a result. Your health is a result. Your leadership success or lack thereof is a result of your thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, assumptions, and conclusions. That's why this type of training is so important. We blend your outer tools with your inner toolbox. You can take another generic stress management workshop and add a tool to the box, your toolbox. You can take another time management training and add yet another tool to your toolbox. Take any other seminar and add yet another tool to your box. Even if you do learn something from this training, though, the learning will only be temporary. It won't be sustained. If you want training to have a long-term impact, your toolbox must be strong enough and big enough to handle the tools. So we identify your personal stress management leaders toolbox, and then using several high-impact transformational processes, we eliminate any negative, non-supportive, disempowering mindsets that prevent you from using those tools. We rewire you with positive, supportive, empowering mindsets through reconditioning. These are the many negative self-limiting beliefs regarding stress that we cover in our training. There are many more, but this is just a portion of it in this abbreviated presentation. What's wrong with these beliefs? Let's take the first one. All stress is bad. Avoid it when possible. The ultimate impact of stress in your life is determined not by the stress we encounter, but our response to it. Traffic jams, job loss, failed mergers, bosses from hell, incompetent employees. That's not what does us in. It's how we respond to or interpret these events. If you want to be a successful leader, you don't have to get rid of stress. As it says in the second statement, if you want to be happy, get rid of stress. You don't have to get rid of it. You just need to, number one, increase your capacity to tolerate it, and number two, increase your resilience to stress by building into your daily routine stress recovery rituals. What's wrong with stress undermines your health and wears you down? The less stress you have, the more productive you'll be. Stress can be both positive and negative. Negative stress or distress results when people get overwhelmed and the impact on life is destructive. Positive stress, on the other hand, can get your attention, motivate you to make healthy changes and perform better. What is wrong with these negative self-limiting beliefs regarding stress? Let's start with I must be perfect. If you demand that you must always be perfect, then you're guaranteed to stress yourself out. The more you tie your self-worth to your outcomes, the more stress you experience. If you accept your own imperfections, you'll be less likely to get overwhelmed or beat up on yourself when you aren't perfect. You'll develop a loving sense of humor about your own imperfections and stay calm, composed, and rational. Has anyone seen perfectionism stop someone from finishing a project they start? I sure have. It's due to the lack of self-belief. What's the phrase? Self-belief. It can make us check our work over and over and over again until it's perfect. The problem is, it'll never be perfect because we've set ourselves just too high standards. We've set the bar too high. This is when time management becomes an issue, isn't it? If you don't have the confidence that what you do is good enough, you become stuck in the endless trap of checking, editing, and rewriting. Perfectionism is paralyzing. It will cripple your progress if you let it. When something doesn't quite have the outcome that you expect, it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means you should change something and try again so that next time you get a better result. Finish the task at hand, edit it once, and then let it go. What's wrong with people must act the way I want? This belief is irrational because people act the way they want, not necessarily the way you want. In other words, you can't control or change other people. If you demand that people must always act the way you want them, then you're guaranteed to stress yourself out. The more rigid this belief, the more stress you experience. Change your attitude to, it would be nice if people acted the way you want, but I need to focus on myself. You'll be less likely to get stressed out when others act in ways you don't like. In fact, you'll develop a loving sense of humor about the imperfections of others. This attitude will also help you stay calm, composed, and rational. What's wrong with the last belief there? Life should always turn out how I want? Well, this belief is irrational because a basic rule of life is you win some and you lose some. If you demand that life should always go the way you want, then you're guaranteed to stress yourself out again. Change your attitude to, it would be nice if life always went my way, but reality is, it won't. By accepting life's up and downs, you'll be less likely to get stressed out when life throws you a curve. In fact, you'll develop tolerance for life's imperfections. In summary, turn all of your musts and shoulds into preferences, and you'll create less stress for yourself. When you tell yourself you prefer something, you'll simply be disappointed if you don't get it. Instead of being really upset, you'll be just mildly disappointed. As a result of less stress, you'll have more success. At this point in the training, we flip from the negative defeating beliefs to the more supportive, positive beliefs to replace them. In other words, affirmations and declarations. The affirmations become declarations when the audience declares their favorite affirmations to the rest of the audience. Unless these affirmations replace their previously identified negative, non-supportive, disempowering thoughts and beliefs, change won't happen. This is the inner world change that we're talking about. Stress that's managed motivates me to change. Stress challenges me to be my best. I can be productive, happy, and successful in spite of stress. And I'm growing more and more resilient every day. Those are some examples of affirmations that will help us manage our stress. Here are some more affirmations. Mistakes provide valuable feedback. It would be nice if I was perfect, but nobody is. It's okay if I make mistakes as long as I learn from them. I go for completion, not perfection. It would be nice if people acted the way I wanted, but I need to focus on myself. On to the signs of stress. Here are the physiological signs of stress. I guess I should be an authority on stress management. How many of you have heard that stress leads to memory problems? I believe it. I've been so forgetful that my mom had me hide the Easter eggs. While most people have a photographic memory, mine is just plain out of film. One of my clients once complained of forgetfulness. He said, "At least my friend's secrets are safe with me." I asked him, of course, "How long has that been happening?" He said, "How long has what been happening?" A good visual metaphor for stress is uncooked pasta, like spaghetti noodles. What happens to the pasta if they are stressed when you put your hands on either end of the noodle and press them inward a bit? They bend, they bow or flex, right? Yes, and then what happens when your pressure or stress is relieved? The pasta returns to its original shape. What happens though to the noodles or the pasta if too much stress is applied, where you keep putting the pressure on them? Yes, they break and snap into pieces. This is what happens with people when they are stressed. They break in certain ways, right? What we do to pasta to make it more flexible and resilient is similar to what we need to do to ourselves to become resilient to stress. Become softer and more flexible, more giving. How do we build our own resilience to stress? To flexibility, through flexibility. This presentation will help you achieve greater mental, emotional, and spiritual serenity, flexibility, and resilience so that you have less stress. Stress can distract you, decrease your awareness, and cause apathy. So what do we do about it? I don't know, and I don't care. Just kidding. As I mentioned, stress is often caused by our assumptions, our thoughts and beliefs. But we have two kinds of assumptions, useful and limiting. Useful assumptions are based on accurate information. They're beneficial and lead to positive behaviors that get us what we want. Limiting assumptions, on the other hand, hold us back, defeat us, keep us trapped in negative, self-defeating, counterproductive behavior. For example, if you assume your job or a relationship with someone is causing you stress, how will you treat your boss, co-workers, parent, or spouse that you're in a relationship with? As stressful, right? If you assume your boss, parent, or spouse is a jerk, how will you treat him or her? Like a jerk, yeah. When you treat that person that way, how do you think they are going to act around you? Again, like a jerk. Then what do you say? What a jerk! So remember the process of manifestation. Your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create your actions. Your actions cause your results. And results can reinforce negative assumptions and conclusions. It's a recycling process that can go either up or down. So be careful what you assume. Negative, inaccurate assumptions can lead to stress. Here are the behavioral signs of stress. Argumentativeness, withdrawal, isolation, sleep problems, problems concentrating, self-defeating behaviors, overeating and weight problems. I used to have a weight problem. I couldn't wait to eat. My problem was that I believed man does not live by bread alone, but by sugar, fat, additives, and preservatives as well. And I gave up pastries, too many calories. I gave up red meat, too much cholesterol. I even gave up soda, too much sugar and caffeine. Now, ask me how I felt. Come on, ask me, how did I feel? Hungry and thirsty, of course. A little tired, too. So I wasn't successful for long. Oh, well, I exercised. My right to refuse to sweat, that is. And I ran all right, from the fridge to the table. But now that I'm reformed, I exercise so much that my partner says, if you don't spend less time in the gym, I'm out of here. And you know what? I'm going to miss that guy. Managing stress in a high-speed, ever-changing, high-tech, low-touch world can be very stressful. The next several slides go over some of the barriers to managing stress in this type of environment. The first of which is fear and worry. Fear, worry, or anxiety are major factors leading to stress. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of forgetting something, fear of neglecting some responsibility, and the resulting liability. For example, research reveals that the fear of speaking in public is the #1 listed fear. The fear of dying doesn't even appear on the list until 3. I think the fear of dying while speaking in public must be number 2. I get nervous when I speak. For instance, as I entered the building today, I decided to go to the restroom. A voice behind me asked, "Ms. Jordan, are you always nervous before these things?" I responded, "No, not really. Why do you ask?" The voice said, "I don't know. I was just wondering what you were doing in the men's room." Richard Carlson says, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. I say, don't sweat the petty stuff, but don't pet the sweaty stuff either. The solution to fear is planning, preparation, and prayer. 3 P's. Our pastor had a kitten that climbed up a tree in his backyard and then was afraid to come down. He coaxed, offered warm milk, but the kitten wouldn't come down. The tree wasn't sturdy enough to climb, so the pastor decided that if he tied a rope to the car, one end to the car, the other to the branch, and drove away so that the tree branch bent down, he could reach up and get the kitten. He did all this, carefully checking his progress along the way, each foot. Then he figured if he drove just a little bit further, the tree would bend enough for him to reach the kitten. But as he moved forward, the rope broke. The tree went boing, and the kitten instantly went sailing through the air out of sight. The pastor felt terrible. He walked the neighborhood asking people if they'd seen a little kitten, but nobody reported seeing it. So he prayed, Lord, please protect this little kitten, and went on about his business. A few days later, he was at the grocery store and met one of his parishioners. He happened to look in her cart and was amazed to see cat food. Now this woman was not a cat lover, and he knew it. So he asked her, why are you buying cat food when you hate cats so much? She replied, you won't believe this, Pastor. My little girl had been begging for a cat, but I kept refusing. Then a few days ago she begged again. I finally told her, well, if God gives you a cat, you can keep it. The woman told the pastor, I watched my child go outside, get down on her knees, and ask God for a cat. And really, Pastor, you don't believe this. You won't believe it. I saw it with my own eyes. A kitten suddenly came flying out of the clear blue sky with its paws outspread and landed right in front of her. Never underestimate the power of prayer. Unpredictability is another big factor leading to stress. We live in an age of chaos and constant change, rapidly changing trends, fashion, and technology. It seems the only predictable thing today is that no matter what industry you are in, things will completely change in 5 years, and you don't know exactly how they'll change. In order to survive and thrive on this chaos and constant change, we need to introduce traditions, rituals, and routine. Think about the types of routine you practice. Do you have routines like evening family meals, Sunday church service, bedtime stories? They all give us stability, security, and consistency in the face of constant change. One thing that COVID has provided is a return to many of our simple things in life: family gatherings at home, home-cooked meals, a slower pace, quality time at home with your loved ones. So if you want to manage stress in spite of unpredictability and chaos, introduce some predictability, security, and stability through routines and traditions. Rational thinking helps us control our inner climate in spite of external chaos. And I bring this up because pessimism and negative thinking is another barrier to managing stress in our current high-speed, high-tech, low-touch, complicated world. People mistakenly believe that stress happens to them, but what one person finds stressful, I'm so stressed out I can't even say it. What one person finds stressful, another does not. To manage stress, we have to replace pessimism with optimism. Speaking of pessimism, how many pessimists does it take to change a light bulb? Never mind, nobody will get it anyway. I only borrow money from pessimists. They never expect it back. How many of you talk to yourselves? Do you talk to yourself? You may readily admit this, or you might hold back thinking, I don't know if I want to admit that. We do, though. We talk to ourselves all the time, and this self-talk affects how we feel and our behavior and experience. It affects our level of stress. Asking why questions, for an example, is a specific form of negative thinking. If your questions are, why am I so stressed out? Or you fill in the blank with some other problem. Why can't I manage my time? Or you fill in the blank with some other personal deficit. Why can't I earn more money or get that promotion? What's wrong with these questions? These and other negatively phrased questions focus on the cause of your problems, your failures, mistakes, and other negatives. But asking why could be productive if you focus instead on what you want and what you have with your why questions. When I was a therapist, I often started out by asking clients in groups, why are you here? Unexpectedly, one of them said, because we're not all there. But seriously, asking a why question stated positively about what you want or what you have in life might look more like this. Why am I so successful? Why can I manage time, and how am I finding more time in my life? So that, my friends, is the opposite of those negative questions that I mentioned earlier, like why am I so stressed out? Instead ask, why am I so calm and composed? I emphasize in my book, Leadership Success in Spite of Stress, asking why questions is not productive if those why questions are stated negatively. They seldom produce answers that you want. And searching for those answers, just that process in and of itself induces stress and negativity. Another stressor is asking what if questions. Again, these questions create fear, doubt, and other negative emotions, and therefore are very self-defeating. Asking what if questions causes you to focus on negative predictions and worst case scenarios, which again creates stress. When you ask yourself a question, it's like your brain is Google doing a search for the answer. So the answers that you want to be searching with your questions, you want them to be positive and productive, supportive. So rather than asking why or what if, which are discouraging and disempowering questions, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What do I want? How can I create the outcome I want? What steps can I take to turn this around? Let's turn to an exercise demonstrating this power of asking the right questions. This is an exercise in the presentation in the training program where I ask the audience to turn to a partner, and the partners ask each other these questions, and they have some discussion generated on the questions. The questions being, what are your stressors? What really drives you crazy, stresses you out, bothers you, frustrates you, gets you mad, and saps your energy? After discussing with their partner the answers to those questions, I ask the audience to then break away from their partner and individually think about that by themselves, how they feel. I ask them to pay attention to how they feel at that moment. Think about it for a moment, feeling that feeling, and without speaking, making a mental or written note of it. Then after 30 seconds of silent reflection, I ask them to turn to a partner again and share what are their stress relievers. That's the second set of questions there. What really relaxes you? What, where, and with whom do you feel harmony, calm, satisfaction, and happiness? Again, I ask them to individually pay attention to the discussion that they have after 5 minutes of that second set of questions and their answers. Think about that for a moment individually. Feel the feelings without speaking. Make written or mental note of it. And then I'll ask the large audience, how is the discussion, or how were the feelings rather, generated from the first discussion different from the feelings you experienced generated from the second discussion? What is the difference between the two sets of questions? Would anyone like to share their experience, their thoughts? And then we have a discussion as the large group. Many of the audience had been aware or noticed, pointed out that one set, the first set of questions, is positive, the other is negative. One highlights successes and solutions, while the other failures and problems. You may not be able to change the world out there, but you can change your internal world by asking yourself the right questions and remembering positive, stress-relieving experiences or successes, by thinking more positively and rationally. If you do a lot of negative thinking, you're going to have a lot of stress, and stress shortens your lifespan, which is probably good because your life is miserable anyway. It's like God's way of saying, here's a gift. In order to reduce stress, we need to challenge negative, self-defeating thoughts. I'm going to say that again. And this is the premise of my book, Leadership Success in Spite of Stress, as well as my coaching and training programs. Managing stress by looking for the positive in your life experiences. For example, create a file in your file cabinet or Palm Pilot to track positive things, joys, pleasures, humorous experiences, so that you can focus more on them. For example, when I was married, before kids, when life was much simpler, I could list at least 3 things that brought me joy: exercise, dancing, and making love to my husband. That was it. Those were my 3 pleasures. Now think about it. You can't do any of that at work. Well, at least not legitimately. But you should find at least some pleasure in your work. And what if I only had those 3 pleasures for the rest of my life? Sooner or later, the equipment's going to break down. Oh, no, I mean the exercise equipment. I'm not talking about any other equipment. This importance of focusing on the positive is the biggest reason or benefit for working with a coach. We speak the unspeakable, what others don't dare to say. We ask unpopular but powerful questions that challenge your irrational, self-defeating thoughts and beliefs. Because we're objective and neutral, we can be open, honest, and direct. We force you to look at the positive, the possibilities, your strengths, and your past successes. Another part of stress in our lives today comes from an increased pace of not only doing business, but almost anything. This increased pace is internalized so that your internal clock takes on the same speed. We don't have the patience we once had. It's not the pace of life that concerns me. It's the sudden stop at the end of life. Having a hurry-up, high-tech, low-touch lifestyle means that we never have a fast enough computer, car, store checkout line, or bank teller. Have you ever gaped at your computer and said, "Oh, come on, can't this thing go any faster?" Have you ever found yourself in your kitchen looking at your microwave going, "Geez, come on, let's go already"? Our ancestors 3 or 4 generations ago, if alive today, would say, "You're nuts. All my life it took me an hour to bake a potato, and you can't wait 6 minutes?" People often want things to happen, well, yesterday. For example, if your goals include losing weight and shaping up, you won't find yourself leaving the kitchen table saying, "Ah, my broccoli just kicked in. Woo!" Nor will those muscles bulge and the lumps shrink as you walk out of the gym. I think our bodies are beginning to emulate this increased space or speed of society. Smartphones, Bluetooth, GPS, email, voicemail. Is it ever fast enough? Being somewhat hyper and impatient myself, I used to be a chronic speeder. I wasn't on amphetamines, if you think that's what I mean. Although if you listen to me long enough, you may wonder, how many words per minute does that girl speak anyway? One time the police stopped me for speeding. They said, "Don't you know the speed limit here is 55 miles an hour?" I said, "Yes, officer, I know, but I wasn't planning to be out that long." But now that I got rid of the Mustang and I'm a bit older, it's the doctor, not the police, who tell me to slow down. Have you ever dialed the phone and by the time the person picks up, you've forgotten who you called? Or they say press for such and such, press 1 for so and so, 2 for such and such, and by the time they're finished with their menu, you've forgotten the options? Has that happened to anyone? Has that happened to you? Where do you go in those 7 seconds? If you're like me, you say to yourself, "Geez, I have so much to do. Let me start checking off my to-do list." So, in order to manage stress in this environment, this current volatile environment, have more patience and slow down. Slow down, take a deep breath. Why do people say that? Take a slow, deep breath when we're stressed out, upset, or angry. They say that because during those times, our breathing is typically quick and slow. Let's try a breathing exercise right here and now, where you breathe in slowly to the count of 4, hold it, and exhale to the count of 4. Just put your hands on your arm of your chair and uncross your arms and legs and breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now release slowly your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do one clean, cleansing breath, just like a heavy sigh in between. And let's do that again, but add muscle tension and relaxation. So contract your muscles as you breathe in, hold your muscles as you hold your breath, and then relax your muscles as you exhale. Breathing in and tensing muscles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold your breath and your tension, muscle tension, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, release. That is an excellent breathing exercise, by the way, whenever you feel stressed out and you're feeling that you might just lose it. Reestablish control of your life and your schedule whenever and wherever you can. You have more control than you think, at least over yourself. Never relinquish your schedule to unpredictability, commercialism, or materialism, or other people's demands. Live as simply and slowly as you can. Resist being distracted by going for every shiny object out there. I always love it when I see people spend more than they make on things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. Don't overvalue newness. Just because something's new doesn't mean it's better. Sometimes we change just for the novelty. Prioritize your activities and commitments that are important to you. If you have more to do than you can possibly do, you must choose high priorities over low. Regain some margin and control by saying yes to what's good for you and important and valuable to you, and no to everything else. Limit the amount of change you have at any one time, and put that job decision on hold, for example, until the kids finish school or you're done moving. One more barrier to managing stress in our current volatile society is information overload. The World Wide Web, voicemail, email, online journals, newsletters, the super information highway has become the too much information highway. Theoretically, you can read every book ever published on your computer or iPad, but what good does that do you when you can't stay on top of the news or your family's events, activities? The big reading dilemma in my house is, do I read that professional journal to stay abreast my industry, to stay on task and stay sharp in my field and try to remain current? Or do I put it aside, realizing that I'll never get to it and eventually just forget it all? So what good is all that information anyway when you just get overwhelmed with it? It may help to realize 3 myths about our high-tech, low-touch, ever-touching, high-speed society. That more is better, that speed will give us more time, and that technology is predictable and perfect. So computers, scanners, phones, fax machines, copiers, and personal organizers will always work beautifully and make our lives easier? Right. Not so, because when these break down, what happens? Nothing. That's the problem. That's the most frustrating part. I think this and information overload are major stressors. It's this feeling that so little is within our control. The answer here, or the solution, is to take a speed reading class. Listen to audiobooks while driving, folding clothes, or doing other activities. Multitask as long as multitasking doesn't diminish the quality of each individual task. And beware of dangerous multitasking like reading as you cross the street, applying makeup on the highway. Not a good idea. Managing stress in this high-speed, high-tech, low-touch, complex world can also be prevented by fragmentation. A barrier to managing stress is isolation. Not only does technology create tension, it also creates fragmentation, isolation, and alienation. Individuals by themselves in front of the computer can shop in solitude, make travel plans, do research, invest, and more. Hey, you can communicate with people around the world and never say a word to your neighbor. But we need human connection. We are learning through research that close, positive relationships affect our immune functioning and physical condition. Elders who have regular visitors live longer. Survivors of cancer who attend support groups go into full remission. Again, the solution here is to seek support and friendship. Join clubs and organizations that will allow you to connect to others. Take up a relaxing hobby, but don't approach something like golf or another sport by betting money on the game. Rather than allowing you to enjoy it, that will just put in more pressure on you and stress on yourself. Managing stress in a high-speed, high-tech, low-touch world can be difficult when there's constant change. Another big stressor is change. Change is difficult. It's difficult because we're human. And as humans, we're creatures of habit. We like to do things the same way over and over again. This is how we eliminate unnecessary change. When you get home from work, for example, you do the same thing each time you enter the house, right? You close the door. What's the first thing you do? Maybe remove your coat, drop the keys, say hello to the cat, the dog. We used to have both a dog and a cat. Great stress relievers, by the way. I've learned the basic difference between a dog and a cat. A dog comes when you call. A cat takes a message and gets back to you. So when you get home, you do the same thing each time. In fact, you probably operate on automatic pilot. Another example of this is, well, toilet paper. Do you hang the toilet paper so it unrolls on top of the roll, or you do it the right way? Let's see. I'm kidding. You're probably thinking, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong all my life. No wonder things haven't turned out so good. I'm just kidding. There is no right way. Yet, however we do it the same way each time, right? This is because it's how we feel most comfortable. That's normal. But now, if you sat in someone else's bathroom thinking, something's not right here, you look over and you see they hang their toilet paper differently than you do. The longer you sit there, the more uncomfortable you feel until you become so bothered by it that you finally say to yourself, oh, I can't stand this. So you switch it and instantly feel better. Now that's not so normal. You may want to check into getting medication for that. In summary, challenge your negative thinking and replace it with positive, supportive, empowering self-talk. Track positive things, joy and humor in your life, and focus on them. Slow down, place some white space or margin in your life. Don't always rely on technology because technology doesn't always work. Take classes to improve your efficiency or effectiveness. Stress is a normal part of life, and healthy stress management is necessary for success. Success has clear-cut symptoms that show up in your body, thoughts, emotions, and behavior. There are both unhealthy and healthy ways to cope with stress. Learning effective stress management techniques can help you handle hard situations and give you peace of mind. Here are some of our other training offerings that we provide at Advantage Leadership Coaching: business etiquette, professionalism, and political savvy, change management in turbulent times, extreme leadership makeover, mindsets of the most successful, facilitating productive meetings and teams to achieve results, leading with emotional and social intelligence, managing difficult employees, resolving conflict without harming the relationship. All these presentations include interactive, experiential activities and follow-up coaching. Programs are also individualized to your specific needs. Because I believe leadership development or leadership is developed from the inside out, each model incorporates several self-assessments. Here we have many of our other products reduced as if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I provide my clients plenty of opportunities to practice the skills learned in our training and other coaching programs. Unlike other self-proclaimed gurus, I address the inner game of leadership. The what game? The inner game. My individual and group coaching clients and trainees start by taking a DISC, a Strengths Finder, and the Leadership Practices Inventory, which is a 360 feedback assessment. They then create a development plan, an individual leadership development plan based on the results of those assessments. Here in this slide, you see other tools to continue supporting and reinforcing your learning. These are such great deals that I can only do it for a short period of time, and if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leadership Success in Spite of Stress book, normally it's $30, but today it's only $9 with YouTube subscription and using the YouTube code. Leadership Development recordings normally are $35 each, but today if you subscribe to my YouTube channel using the YouTube code on your purchase, when you purchase, it's only $10.50. The book and 2 leadership development recordings are normally $95, but today $23.50 by subscribing to the YouTube channel and using YouTube in the code as a code when you purchase them. The 5 leadership development recording package is normally $150. Today it's only $45. All 7 leadership development recordings plus 3 months coaching normally is $1,700. Today it's only $1,190. A 6-week coaching group is normally $750 each. Today it's only $520 each with the YouTube code as you purchase. $600 a month is your usual investment for individual coaching, but today if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you place YouTube in the code area when you purchase, it is $420 a month. Only $420 as opposed to $600. Here you see my book, Leadership Success in Spite of Stress, that can be purchased at AdvantageSuccessCoaching.com. Long hours, tight deadlines, family obligations, no time to exercise, eat, sleep well, or reflect. Does any of that sound familiar? In Leadership Success in Spite of Stress, I offer 30 years of experience coaching leaders struggling with demanding work schedules. This book will help you seek work-life balance. It's designed to help you prioritize, manage time, work smarter, not harder. It'll help you find time for yourself and your personal life as well as the efficiency to work at your optimal pace. The hands-on practical information and self-assessment exercises in the book show you how to change your thinking, how to challenge those self-defeating beliefs sabotaging your success. This way you can get out of your own way and finally meet that long sought-after goal that seems beyond your reach. Professional development recordings are listed here in this slide, and all 7 of them can be purchased at AdvantageSuccessCoaching.com. And you notice I am a perfectionist in recovery. You know how you can notice? Check it out. I misspelled purchase. I'm imperfect. Yay. Onward we go. Whatever you habitually think, even though it may be false, sinks down into your deep inner mind as true, and this creates your actions, experiences, and results. Once your deep inner mind accepts something, it executes it. Even so, even if you've conveyed negative beliefs to your deep inner subconscious mind, you can change them by relaxing, visualizing positive outcomes, and listening to positive, constructive affirmations and declarations. What's most exciting is you can reprogram your deep inner mind and access 100% of your brain's power to learn anything more quickly and easily. These recordings use advanced human performance technology. We combine the powerful technologies of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and whole brain learning. What makes our recordings unique? They focus on not just the specific skill set referred to in each title, they also target the mindset, the thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, assumptions, and conclusions critical to effective leadership. And the second way they are unique is that each title includes 2 tracks. You get 2 recordings for the price of 1. Bedtime Bliss, track 1, relaxes you with ambient music, soothing nature sounds, and vocals. Track 2, Start Your Day in a Positive Way, is designed to be listened to immediately as you waken to reinforce the concept learned in track 1. It is designed to maintain your goal achievement when you listen to the recording as you drive, exercise, or conduct your everyday activities. Again, remember, you can have all the best leadership tools, all the latest and greatest research at your fingertips, but if you have a small, weak toolbox, in other words, a self-defeating mindset, all the tools in the world aren't likely to bring you success. If you haven't been successful after attending training sessions and paying expensive coaches or consultants, these recordings will help you overcome the negative or self-limiting beliefs blocking your progress. Leaders in Recovery is Advantage Recovery Coaching's podcast. Have you ever noticed how you can stay in recovery, or let me start that over. Have you ever wondered how you can stay in recovery for good? By overcoming your obstacles and getting out of your own way? Well, that's exactly what you'll learn on our podcast, Recovery from the Inside Out. One of the most important parts of recovery for executives and other leaders is to keep learning. These podcasts are perfect even for the busiest lifestyle and can be listened to in the comfort of your own home, during your commute to work, on the go, or any time that you need a little escape. Leadership Success Soundbites is Advantage Leadership Coaching's podcast. Cutting-edge leadership coaching from the inside out. More than just skill sets, mindsets too. Beyond information to transformation. Better leaders, better decisions, better results. This podcast helps you develop new skills and competencies you need as an effective decision maker. When it comes to your livelihood, the lives of your employees, and your reputation, making the best decision is vital. That's where Success Soundbites comes in. I believe this is the last slide in our presentation. Thank you very much, my audience, for staying with me. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that this will help you manage stress in this intense time, turbulent time in our lives right now. Thank you, and have a productive day.